I do. Hopefully that's working. You'll have to let me know. Can you lot hear me? And by you lot, I mean Dean and Ashawardell. Ash. Dean and Ash, can they hear me? Working, nice. Can you hear music before I get sued? So I've got the old Spotify, no music, cool. So I've got Spotify on, and it's you know, it's inspirational, but it's also you know, highly copyrighted stuff. So right. Well, tonight is going to be a casual night of me just writing a load of waffle, fallen from the mind that is heavyweight, as we continue to build Etoria. As you can see, it's a lovely Google Doc. Other docs are available, I assume. What am I doing? Can you see the text, or is it too small? If you're on a phone, obviously, it might be difficult, but let me know if you can see the text. Captain America t-shirt. Can you hear my fan? That's another one, Dean. Can you hear the fan? Yeah, you can see it, cool. Can you hear my fan going off? Like, is there any... yeah, you can hear the fan. Of course you can. Let me... I've turned it off. Has the fan gone away? I can't hear from my house or some Apex running in the background. Oh, fair enough. Fan has gone. Cool. We'll go with that. I shall boil to death. How's that? Middle of November. Warm as fuck. Alright, as you can see, welcome to Etoria. I'm going to change my Spotify to Songs I'd Write a Fantasy Novel to. How do I start it from the beginning? Will you just carry on? As adverts, might have to... 5 viewers, who are the 5? I'll do. Play music to write. How have you not done that? So there's a playlist on Spotify called Songs I'd Write a Fantasy Novel to. 231 songs, 15 hours. Let's hope this stream isn't 15 hours long. But the adverts are going. The first song on it is All the King's Horses by Carmina. It's such a badass song. Can I actually share this? Copy the link. How do you do that? Can I do this? Does that work? There you go. Try that. Try that. Such a cool song. How am I going to do this? Right, so I started writing basically we're writing we're world building. So a few of my mates, we're building a world called Colossus. It's got we've so much crap into it. I mean, we did a year, every month for a year we released e-magazine of more content and lore and stuff that was in the world of Colossus, just different sections, obviously during lockdown and that. And we're continuing to build it, and we want to write source books for our tabletop games. Some of us play D&D, some of us play Pathfinder, some of us play even the cyberpunk stuff. I mean, this is all very much high fantasy, what I write, but if you really wanted to have your, you know, Spartan Gnomes swinging Uzis and laser guns instead of, you know, short swords, go for it. But Etoria is our next source book that we want to release. Bolt it onto whatever system you want if you like our world, and we'll go from there. But yeah, I just like talking crap for hours and hours on end. Look at this, Mr. Beef, Eldritch. Oh, I need to change that. Gabriel's probably, they're going to tell me off for getting their name wrong. I'm going to go with Gabe for now, and then Gabe can tell me it's wrong. Yeah. When you're all alone. I can't sing, I shouldn't sing. Alright, so Got a bit of a creation story. What was I writing before? Got all this. Look at all this. We went full on. I went super like. There we go. Here's a bit of fluff. The creation of Colossus. Thousands of creation. This story's passed on since the beginning of all. Are they accurate? Told with conviction. One could believe that they are. All of this in Yorkshire. Sometimes forget about the stars above, as they're a constant, never-changing position. Just something that is given in everyday life. As you'll find if you read any of my stuff in my little note form before it goes to the professionals who will edit it to actually sound like English. It's very much just falls out of my head. So, what we wanted to do, as Etoria is our first source book that we're putting out, have that creation story in it, just of the world, just a bit of a high level, but we've done it from a character perspective. So as you can see, it basically mentions like the creator titans and such who came from constellations, and then Colossus itself is formed. Oh, I got a ding. Dean Assel, good lad. He's now hosting one viewer. Cheers, pal. Cheers, man. Is Stu from the island, Stu? Allergic to latex, Stu? Yes. The never-changing position stars that makes me very concerned about the planet. Well, it's called magic, so yeah, where was I? Yeah, so it's all about the creation and how the Titans brought it, and like Fury gets bound to the core. A prison's called Core, and then you got the core of the planet. It's really cool. You'll get to read all this when you buy the source book. But yeah, it's basically written from Julio Saragon. Now, first hint of the Aegean. So they're like historians, like Illuminati's a bit strong, but they're a organisation that is deliberately in existence to collect the history of the world and keep hold of it, remember it, pass it on, that sort of stuff. And it also gives us a good way of giving NPCs like a bit of personality to the history that's come to you, so we can write it different personality. Julio's a bit of a I say well spoken. Will be well spoken once it's been edited by someone who is well spoken. But Julio is a well spoken, well presented, very passionate about their history and fact finding. Whereas you get some of the others that are a bit more blunt and stoic in there. Right, we found it out, file it away, let's find more stuff. We don't need to talk about it. Stop slapping poetry on it. And then obviously, because it is our first source book of the world, we needed to put in stuff like the calendars and how the time works, and I've been dead lazy. 360 days, boom. 12 months, boom. 3, 3, 3. You know what I mean? Then the days of the week, 7 days, all 24 hours long. Again, lazy. I don't do all this meta whatever stuff that's going on. If at a later date we get someone in with more than 7 brain cells, then they can work it out. But I don't mind. I think it's pretty cool. Keeps it simple. Seasons, specifically Etoria's. So Etoria is like ancient. I don't want to go straight for ancient Greece, but it's like the Mediterranean, ancient Greece, like the Italy, across and above in all directions. Thrace, Mesopotamia, that sort of stuff. I know a lot of stuff gets made of, like, because obviously ancient Greece is very popular over this way, at least, especially in fantasy stuff. But you get a lot of the European, like the Central European, like Vikings and Germanic stuff that happens quite a lot. And we've got a Germanic Romanian sort of thing in Ravenholm that we're currently playing in our Tuesday campaigns. Excuse me. Oh, actually, boom. Can you see that? Can you see the map? If it's magic, that's fine. So, that's a work in progress, as pretty much everything is, until it actually hits somewhere cool. I don't know, I can try and zoom into it for a little bit. There we go. So as you see, it's dead simple. Colossus is massive, hence its name. So a friend of mine who helped me put together the geography side of it, when I started describing the nations and the lands, is 4 times the size of Earth, I think. It was Eddie, actually, if anyone knows Eddie, aka Mr. Valentine, and another co-conspirator of developing Colossus. But yeah, Eddie did the math, and it's basically 4 times the size of Earth. So like, from west to east to Tophis here, you're looking at like 800 to 1,000 miles. I know that's a 200-mile difference, but as we like amend the scale and add more stuff to it, this is obviously, there's not a lot going on in between these named places. But obviously, if you were to zoom into most countries, you'll Google map it, drop the little humanoid on the path, then you'd see there's a lot more detail. So map making's not really my thing, but I try it. So yeah, so that'd be pretty cool. I hope it'll be pretty cool. So then I started doing stuff, because like in other like roleplay books and stuff, they always have like holidays and how the seasons work and interesting places and daily life and some stuff that I never really thought were that important, to be fair. And then but it seems to be in almost every new source book that comes along, they start describing festivals. Now I always think describing a festival in like high fantasy life is always like the same. So who got more dings? Ginger Fox is now following. Thank you very much, Ginger Fox. So when you get this when you all buy this source book, we met me a millionaire. All 6 of you. So like holidays, like I say, it's always daft. So like people have birthdays all over the world. Does it really need to be described differently in every single source book that you do? Or these people give cake, these people give presents, these people give both. Sometimes you're just describing the same thing and slapping a different name on it. However, I suppose it's pretty cool, just to, devil's advocate myself, having them in there actually fleshes out the culture a little bit. So you might have only ever given presents, and then you do go to a place that gives cake, and it's probably quite refreshing or different for that particular character to journey there. So, all those little tiny, it doesn't take a lot, and it doesn't take a lot of my time, but it's a pretty cool way to tweak a thingy. Right, what? Oh, you need to listen to this, Dean, or anyone. What am I on now? Kingdoms Fall by Claire Wyndham. It's the 3rd song on that playlist I sent. It's pretty cool. It's a really cool playlist, to be fair. Eddie found it. So yeah, so we got holidays, yeah? No matter the nation in Colossus, there will be festivals and holidays taking place to celebrate the divine, seasonal change, stories of a time past, centered around heroes and events. Again, excuse the really well-written literature. Each of the Celestials has their own day throughout the year, and you can read about them alongside the Etorian Pantheon later in the book. Woohoo! The common ones celebrated by nearly all in Etoria are Vault's Keep. No set day, but it's held towards the end of the year. It's a celebratory feast, and it's held the eve before. Hang on. Let's read my own words. A celebratory feast is held the eve before Vault's Keep. The day itself is spent committing those things in one's life that have reached closure and committed to the vaults of Aranius. The day after is then full of dancing, feasts, and stories of the future. No. So, what I know is, the vaults of Aranius are where the Celestials... So, way back when, like this history, I'll be bouncing all over the place. But the history of Etoria, they needed a bit of help, and 12 people stepped forward, and they were really powerful and became very symbolic, and eventually ascended to, be Celestials. Cool, Pantheon, job done. Yep. But the weapons and stuff that they used, and the armour and all that, really, that cool, like that sort of Excalibur and the Aegeus shield and stuff like this. They're all very big symbolic stuff. But what they did is they put them in a vault, and that's a vault of Uranus, to say, it's done, it's closed, we've no need for them anymore, we are at peace, let's build, you have a Pantheon, let's go forwards. So the idea behind Vault's Keep is, and I suppose it happens all over the world, but my personal experience was, I think it was a Celtic tradition that I was part of. That sounds dodgy, but we're all sat around a campfire, and a lot of my friends had turned up, and they all had something that they threw into the fire as a bit of a bit of a closure. So I really like that idea. So I stole it and put it in my fantasy world. Moon's passing. A time to reflect on the passing of summer and autumn ahead. Who knew? Who knew that there'd be a celestial, what do you call it? Solstice festival. Another that falls differently each year and is celebrated mostly through the nights of the entire week around the holiday. It is a quieter celebration with soft music and talk tales. Just enjoying the evening as summer finishes and autumn comes ahead. There's some traditions in many other cultures, both make-believe and real, where it's a bit more rambunctious. But this is a quiet one. You just chill out for a week, you relax, you enjoy the last few eves of summer. Bahamut's blessing. After the defeat of the dragon Nemean at the start of spring, it was seen as a new sign of life and new starts ahead. Carnivals set up and entertained all over Etoria, acting out the adventurers of the Agasia. Many celebrations are held. So, again, another sort of solstice thing. No, solstice. Put my teeth back in. Bahamut's blessing. Now, what I did was, I'm a big... So, there are no dragons in Colossus. If you watch our Tuesdays, you'll know that. Chuckles, not a cult. Gotta shoot. See you later, Dean. Take care, dude. This is amazing, by the way. Catch you later. Yes. Yes, it is. So, are humans, on average, heavier than they would be on Earth? Well, considering I'm called heavy, all humans in Colossus are heavy. There you go, Ash. There you go, science. How is a feast not celebratory? What did I say? A celebratory feast? Well, I see what you point. I mean, you could eat and not be celebrating. I'd eat miserably, but I'd still eat. And then at the end of it, maybe I'd celebrate. So yeah, see, maybe. Anyway, what did I get to? Oh yeah, so there's no dragons in Colossus. I'm quite big on that, or at least not according to any players in my world. But I always had this big thing of if there's hundreds of ancient dragons running around. I mean, it's like Skyrim. You're just farming one day and you look up and there's 4 dragons flying over. Nobody believes you. There's 4 dragons flying overhead and some dude turns up in somebody turns up in plate armour and sneak in with a bow, because why wouldn't you in Skyrim? Just takes out a couple of dragons and gets on with the day. Nice, you carry on farming. Brilliant. So I wanted dragons, if they ever do appear, to be awe-inspiring. I always like the idea of Bahamut, like the silver dragon and stuff like this. It's in loads and loads of games. It's one of those things that you can't ever really get away from, but I don't want to. However, in my world, so what I did was, I also like to spin tales that already exist, because I really like the tales and don't want to not play them or use them or take advantage of them. So Hercules, doing the whole Greek thing, I was about to say a big fan of mine, but I'm a big fan of Hercules and the tale, and the 12 labours and stuff like this. But so what I did was, you'll see further on, good stories for a reason. Yeah, exactly. And I like them. Do you know what I mean? Like you say, they're good stories, and I want to keep them around. Oh, I can't scroll down. Oh, I'm on the wrong one. I'm so good at this. Yeah, so Bahamut is actually Hercules. I'll go with that, right? And if you know the Herculean story, one of the first labours Hercules does is kill the Nemean lion. What Bahamut actually did was defeat the dragon Nemean. Yep. Now Nemean was a massive silver dragon. Bahamut I know some people know Bahamut as a silver dragon. Well, that's where the twist is, kids. So Bahamut defeats the silver dragon and then wears its pelt. So you've actually got Bahamut walking around, and the statues that you would probably see in ancient Greece of Hercules with the lion's pelt is actually Bahamut, the massive Goliath with a silver dragon pelt. I mean, it all makes perfect sense in my head. And the adventures of the Agasia are Bahamut's. Basically, I turned the 12 labours into an adventuring party, and we'll get to that. So that's pretty cool. Daily life, as with most cultures, they work in a very hot place, Mediterranean. So whatever you would find there, basically, or most places. Again, it's that stuff that I was like, I don't know why I'm writing this when it's unlikely that you'll get folk, players in your party going, what's this person doing over here? And I'm like, making clay pots. Brilliant. However, looking more into it, and just those little, it's almost a bullet point of when you're describing the world. Some places probably don't farm because they've got so much gold, they just buy their food, so there's no need for farms. Some places obviously sell stuff to those people with gold, so would farm a lot. So having those little daily life things kind of fleshes out your world a little bit. So I was pleasantly surprised at those little triggers as you describing stuff. Languages, always a thing. I mean, common's common in fantasy world. It just makes it easier. But if you like to put specific local or locale, they all speak Etorian because it's in Etoria. Who knew? This is pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool. This was actually an idea by Arcane, Roberto. Gold, silver, copper, because everyone uses gold, silver, copper. But in Etoria, they mint their own platinum. So it tells you that, you know, they've got a bit of cash, which is cool. Technology. This is also of the player's handbook. That's specifically 5e, but at the same time, it kind of covers anything, whatever you're playing. The technology that's available in that handbook that you're using, it's just a catch-all. But I think when me and Rob were talking about the technology levels and Eddie, it was specifically the one in the 5th ed book for D&D. But again, just bolts onto anything. And I kind of like Eberron as I mean, there's loads of examples, but I'm just using Eberron as an example, where you have why have you got a ship flying in the sky, 3 masts and sails? Well, because it's powered by an air elemental. Doesn't have to be science. Oh yeah, okay, cool. I can get down with it. So I kind of like that as a level of. I like Asgard. Both science and magic are one and the same. Cheers, though. Cheers, mate. So yeah, so I like that. I've always got this weird like itch, like if it jumps, like if all of a sudden black powder appears in the fantasy world, I can't. I don't know. It's weird. I need it to be there to start with rather than it appearing, or in abundance, so it's actually part of the technological world rather than 3 people know how to use it. Anyway, moving on because that's boring. The history of Etoria. At the birth of this beautiful continent, there was nothing but opportunity born of a single breath from the creator titan Elysia. Not any way, shape, or on Elysia, but who knew? Mountains bore homes later occupied by the Celestials. Fertile plains paved the way for mortals to build upon. Hoorah. And then you got some stuff here. The constellation that gave birth to... so we have creator titans. So we have constellations and creator titans. And the constellation that brought Elysia, the creator titan, into existence was Caleth Ulan, the Soul Light, protector of the first breath. And their constellation is 8 stars. And then we've got all this that tells the story of the creator titan Elysia. I mean, it's pretty badass, and I could just read it all. Well, I think it's badass because I wrote it and I'm biased, but yeah. So, I mean, I can read it. Definitely makes the world feel more alive. Sign language. Won't be spoken in sign language. Actually, Sharadel, you are incorrect. For there are many places in my world that sign language is taught. And I don't mean thieves' cant for the rogues. I mean actual sign language. And the reason being, I grew up around all my schools in my early days. We had a lot of children there that had hearing difficulties of various... How do you talk sign language? Easily. You mouth it and with your hands, and sometimes you make noise. If you're making noise and it's understood, it's talking. Is that not talking? I'm not entirely sure that's accurate. However, there is a lot of sign language in my world because I experienced it a lot as a young'un, and I think it's cool. See Tuesdays, Owl Bearer. Feels like cheating. I mean, if it works, I'm taking it. Magic, I shall say. Yeah, so Owlbearer is a mute. He's an NPC. He does not speak, but he uses sign language. And yeah, he doesn't speak it because he's a mute. I see your point. Moving on. So Elysia is responsible for... What is Elysia responsible for? I'm pretty sure it's some other stuff. Because we... I don't know if this is going to show up. Yes, it is. As you can see, these are just examples. Greater Titans, Elysia, there you go. Queen of Humanity. Known for many other things, these are just placeholders. But Elysia was responsible for tieflings, halflings, Aasimar, humans, or ASMR, however you pronounce it. I think it's double A actually. We put ASMR because you know I'm great at this stuff. I think it's double AS, not AS. ASMR. But yeah, Omriel Ella Demore, Champion of Light, the Light Bearer, and then we got a few others that we need to add to this because there's actually 10, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I think we're missing 3. But anyway, we'll get to them. So yeah. Now, because Elysia is pure light in the constellations among the stars, and the thing with this, like, I get asked if I'm talking with my friends, and they're like, "Oh, how did it start? Like, you know, Big Bang and all that. You know, or was it just like a deity that was like, you know, boom, have some life?" And then you start writing stuff, and you're like, "Oh, okay." And then it's high fantasy, and then like you look for inspiration. I mean, like a big Tolkien fan, I suppose a lot of nerds are, but like song just existing and singing stuff into life, and then you know, then you look at Nordic and you just start going all over the world, and you're like, "Oh God." Creation stories are they're just a beast on their own. Acid man. I was born of a caustic mother and a toxic father. Brilliant. We could probably turn that into a campaign. Alright, so yeah, so basically there's some of that. I won't go through it all. I want to write something. But yeah, it tells of Elysia basically creating the first ASMR, and giving them life and such, and like all their, oh, you can see, took the skies as their own, radiant power, energy, light upon Colossus. Great. They've got, so they're like all deities have avatars and such in high fantasy. It's just how it works. People want to see that deity in front of them because it's cooler than just blind faith. I'm told. But they've got one half their wings are butterfly wings and the other half are moth wings. And the butterfly and moth are a very like, we've got Duskborn and Dawnborn ASMR, or Celestials. I think ASMR's a like Pathfinder D&D thing, but like celestial blooded. What is it? Is it Nephilim? What are the half angels called? Like, what do you call it? What's the word for? There you go, Nephilim. That's right, isn't it? Are they Nephilims? Supposed to be half human, half angel. Yeah, there you go. So that's basically what ASMR are, aren't they? Or like celestial. So it's that flavour of Nephilim. We've got Duskborn and Dawnborn in Etoria, and obviously different ones all over the world. And the Duskborn are very moonlight oriented, and they like. There's quite a lot of what's the like folklore out there about moths and butterflies and stuff. And I'm quite a big fan of the old butterfly, but we keep that to ourselves. So I kind of like that. Then you got the Everdawn migration, which is where the Duskborn and Dawnborn bloodlines were created, and they came west from Everdawn, the nation itself, and then they find Etoria, and then they settle Etoria. First roots, there you go. So they settle Etoria, build a capital city, merge with the locals, and boom, you've got Etoria. But then lots of stuff happens. History and timelines. I will get to some of that. I'm going to write, go west where the sun goes down. Go west. There's divas in Pathfinder. Yeah, I think there's divas in D&D, in a lot of that sort of stuff. We'll see. There's quite a collection of the old Angelals. First City of Echoes, which is pretty cool because my lot on a Tuesday have just been doing some Echo stuff. The other side of Divinity, so we got like tieflings. I like tieflings. I like the fact that there's a demonic bloodline, whether it be fiends, demons, devils, whatever the RPG is that you're playing says. But I tend to just go with fiends. But these, I haven't yet figured out how to spin it. But I like the idea that these particular tieflings have like their souls scorched with divine light. So they've got that, like how would I describe, like a demonic angel But yeah, I'll figure that out. You got the first city of Echoes, which, if we go to the map, is actually off the map over here somewhere. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, over here, like in this big gap over here. That's where the first city of Echoes is, or down here. It caused a lot of issues because it kind of sits in a realm that echoes the material realm. Things like, you know, what can I compare it to? You know, the Shadowfell and stuff like that. They kind of mimic, and Feywilds. They kind of mimic the material world, but then twist it slightly. It's the same with the Echo realm. It kind of sits on top. And they're building as a kith, exactly that. They start to build a nation. Used to be just warlords and such, just rocking around. Whoever had the biggest gang kind of owned that bit of land. You get to read all this next year. Brilliant. The lost years when we were young. The Dreamy Visitor, massive archfey. Oh, did they throw a hand grenade into Etoria's development? That created a ton of, in fact. What am I doing? If we actually turn to your maps. There we go, this is good one. When it loads. Here we go. So, as you can see, I started working on a scale a bit more on here. Etoria. This way. Look at the arrow. Look what I did there. It's good. All this southern section below this river used to be sprawling nation of its own. So Etoria is responsible for bardic magic. So a bard's a bard. You know, they sing songs, write poetry, play musical instruments, tell stories, you know, that sort of thing. Whatever you're playing, a bard has generally got its, this is what it is. But in a lot of RPGs, bards actually have magical oomph behind their talent. So Etoria is what, well, will be written as the source of that bardic magic, and how it came that bards could put arcane oomph behind their songs and their stories and their poems and ballads and such. None of these giant spiders were there back in the day. Incarnate's pretty badass, by the way. We're not sponsored. I just like them a lot. So if you want to make maps, go check them out. It's actually pretty decent as well for you. I think it's like, I can't remember. It's not expensive for a license for a year. But they're really good, really good. And the Dreamy Visitor came from there, at Ceravella. It was called Etoria. I come up with these words and I can't even pronounce them. They look cool when I write them down. I've got this song in my head. Good. Good. Ceravella, and there you go. And then I wrote a lot of history about this. Birth of the 12. So it is where it gets to the bits where I've written stuff that kind of needs expanded on. Like an empire built, the uniting of Etoria and the Empress, taking their seat, as it said. Boom. There we go, first song. This is what this is called. Silver Dragon. Golden Apples. This is my adventuring party that I turned, like the 12 labours, into an adventuring party and a bit of a story. This is a good song. Daughter of the Sea, from the old Warcraft. Of the sea, yeah. Oh. Words carry. You should listen to it, it's really good. Better just let everyone argue the pronunciation amongst themselves. I agree. I agree, Chuckles. I agree. Right, so yeah, as you can see, a group of adventurers that perform truly great feats across it. I need to flesh these out big time, but I just wanted to get them down. Perform truly great feats across Etoria. Stories, poems, and songs spread far and wide. They walk the land during the time of the Etoria, which is the first song. It is said their deeds are responsible for the Etoria in the first place. From all walks of life, they came together at the crest of the Celestials. Each was called to the mountain of Orianus. They were tasked by slaying Nemean, a silver dragon on the cusp of ascension. So the dragons have their own plane. There's a plane of dragons that's kind of bolts onto Colossus and all its like elemental planes and such like that. And they rivaled them anyway, similar to like, you know, Titans versus gods and that sort of thing. The dragons are on par with gods. Are you off to bed, dude? No, mate. So a dragon to also ascend, that's, you know, really powerful according to laws of Colossus. Anyway, Celestials were like, you do us a favour to stop this dragon getting any harder than they already are. Are you off to bed as well?
My throat hurts.
Your what hurts? Get some water when you go upstairs, yeah? But not a lot, dude. Alright? Yeah. Ascended dragons are a power not to be reckoned with. There we do. The Agassier accepted the quest, so it began 12 years of preparation. You see where I stole that from? The party faced down the... there we go. Critanius invasion. An army of Minotaurs to conquer Etoria. There we go. There's one labour. The court of Crites. I should probably write. Is it phonetically on the side of these? So I know how to say them. Made up of 3. The court. Right. Okay. So this court of Crites, made up of 3 that embody the laws of Nemean, is Cerberus. It's three heads of the same body, so the same court, and they're very much Judge Dredd, so judge, jury, and executioner. I really like that concept in a single individual. I love the judges in the AD world. Is it AD 2000? Oh, AD 2000? Yeah. So I wanted that as well. And also a friend of mine ran a encounter where she had a judge, a jury, and an executioner in the combat. And I love like the idea of it. So that's who Cerberus is. The giants of Geryon of Jerry, who challenged the Celestials for the right to sit at the hearth of Uranus. Again, if you know your Hercules tales, that's a 3-headed giant, I think, or a 25-armed giant. The Aegean is a stable master to the Celestials, and he gave the Agassier 4 mares. Very highly intelligent but vicious, loyal to those they call riders. So the Aegean stables, obviously the stables Hercules cleaned up. And the mares, I think there's these night mares, shadow mares, just want to eat human flesh and that. And they belong to, was it Damocles? Diomedes, maybe? I think it was Diomedes. Mares. And they had to go sort them out. Anyway, as you can see, I twisted it. Again was a stable master to the Celestials. Kind of a high-priced job. Jesus Christ. Whew. Some waffle coming out here, I tell you. Gave them 4 mares, yep. A ship was commissioned so they could sail both sea and air. A great deer with golden antlers of a stag. Its flag... Oh yeah, the flag had a great deer with golden antlers. And as well as a busk of the creature's upper chest and a head decorated at the front and bow of the ship. They named it the Cyrenean Hind, which is obviously the hind Hercules had to chase down. The flanks of the ship host beautiful paintings of bronze-beaked birds with metallic feathers. These birds are sacred to the Celestial known as the Ram. Again, the birds that he used the rattle with to scare him out of the sky, and then he shot them. So, here we go. And here's the 4 adventurers that basically went on and did the 12 labours that I obviously changed into an epic level 1 to 20 campaign. and I'd love to actually write short stories about them if I ever had the time. Bahamut, aka the Celestial Hammer, totally not Thor and Hercules mashed into one giant Goliath. And where's the Silver Dragon hide over Nemean? Rider of Denios the Terrible, which I'm pretty sure if you look up the names of the mares of Diomedes. Oh, Daniel J. Wild is now following. Cheers, Dan. Thank you very much. Hey up, Evie. Cheers, Dan, mate. I hope you're well, Paul. I hope as well. We still need to go through your Dark Britannia, my good man. Whenever you get a chance, just let me know. Yeah, so as you can see, other nods to the labours. Rider of Denos the Terrible. These are the 4 nightmares. Fighter Bard. Again, Goliath. These are races that probably appear in definitely D&D. RPGs are always going to have your fighters and your bards and such, and mix them how you want. We've done a lot of 5e content, so we tend, I accidentally go into that same sort of stuff, but it can obviously be changed however you want. If you so wish. Play what you want, as long as you're having a laugh. And if you're not laughing, make sure it's part of the reason that you're there. So, Silver Dragon, Lenonian, there we go. The Hydra. So basically, I couldn't think, I didn't want to just write everything in to like just a little short story and then give them all names. They'd be like, you're a fighter, you're a rogue, you're a wizard. I wanted to still mix it into that 12 labours, but turn it into my own thing. So the reason they're known as the Hydra is because they're obsessed with mirror image. So they always cast mirror image priority, always got that mirror image or whatever magic spell in whatever system gives you multiple versions of yourself, illusionary or otherwise. And they get regen because, you know, they're a Hydra. Again, these are all weird and wonderful magical things you can do. And they love acid and poison. As you see, these all need figuring out. Rider of Pedagos, the Swift, again, name of the horse, has a pair of pet snakes. Do you know why? Because Hercules killed 2 snakes. Amanthian, aka the Boar, is a wereboar. Yes! Rider of Lampon the Shining, Cleric of the Hound, wields an array of axes. Thalia, aka the Sky Trident, wears a magical belt letting them control sea creatures and the ship. Sea Barbarian, they're the captain of the Cenarian Hound, or Serenian Hound. And that's my 12 labours turned into a epic level 1 to 20 campaign with 4 adventurers mentoring every single labour and anything I can think of related to Hercules. They have a celestial hammer instead of a club, got a dragon hide instead of a lion hide, etc, etc. Then I started doing the people of Etoria. This is where we're getting to now, and this is where I'll probably start writing some stuff tonight, is to try and spread out more stuff on the people. So I don't like that, that's annoying me. I said earlier, Dustborn, Dawnborn. ASMR, it's got it right here, Moth and Butterfly. So it's like day and night, but it's not like spooky and light and shiny. And obviously ASMR you can replace with Celestial, Nephilim, etc. They've got divine blood in a normal person rather than, oh look, I'm Gabriel and Michael. The Spartan Gnomes. Do I need to say anything else? I don't think I do, viewers. I don't think I do. In fact, I should just write an entire source book on Spartan Gnomes and sod the rest. Cheers. Also, any of you lot used World Anvil? Oh, know anybody else? That's awesome. Do they carry step ladders to climb up so they can kick you in the chest into a pit? No, so what they do is one of them gets on their hands and knees and then you run and step off the back and then whap, it takes 2 feet like to kick you into a pit, but you know. And this is Sparatus, or Spiritus. Sparatus. Oh yeah, I even went with that. So yeah, Spartan Gnomes. So what the thing with the Spartan Gnomes, again, just creative people. I can't not do, you know, I've pulled a lot of Greek stuff. I got a couple of like Indian folklore and stuff that I'll be putting into Etoria as well. But a lot of the stuff is like ancient Greece and then my absolute bastardisation of it. and then throwing in from the professionals like Arcane and Gabe and that. But the Spartan Gnomes. What have I done? Let's make that go back. There we go. Did I start writing them? There we go. Started writing them. Southern parts of Etoria, much more than most, for the forest plains and below, all held by them. So they take literally every area of southern Etoria. So if I can go back to my maps, return to your maps. So we've got an Etoria 1. So as you can see, this is all work in progress, all evolution. So this map is the first one we did. Dragonborn song's on now. So that's the first one we did. As you can see, it appears quite small. And Stelios is the first seat of echoes that you couldn't see before. So on the other map, it stops here, and all that's cut off. For Stelios is its own right up basically. But again, it looks quite small and compact. That's why we went to that's why we tried to scale it out a bit more. I actually think it were Arcane that tried to scale it out a bit more. As you can see, it adds a bit more distance to stuff. And there needs to be a bit more detail on it, but again, work in progress. But yeah, what was I saying? So all down here, I don't know if you can see that. But all down here. There we go. Whoa, let's not do that. In the south, like beneath the ground on the plains, like the grassy plains, or they're just like drier plains and the forests. That's where these Sparatus are. Sparatus. Let's go back. So coming at them is, good luck. They are known as like the most ferocious fighting force in Etoria, but that's because that's all they do. That's all they exist for. Yes, I did steal the Spartan mentality, but I've tried to tweak it somewhat. So when the Rainless Senate appeared, because having one leader Etoria didn't really like, because they were such a mishmash of people, like those that migrated from the east, the Dusk and Dawnborn, and then you've got the Scorched, which are the like tieflingy type, the demonic celestials. We'll get to the metaphysics of that. And then you've just got normal people, and then you've got Soul Scorched, the Musa, and the Musa are fear-touched humans, which builds into the past. Because when I told you the dreamer Ceravella that turned up, Ceravella was basically the archfey that brought muses to Etoria, but in a very sort of supernatural sort of way. So instead of just being inspired by a couple of kids, kicking a ball about in grass, and it's actually like an urge, a emotion that exists in a fae-like creature that would follow you around. And then obviously over time, that's where the fae touch come in, and they call them Musa or Musa. Where are they? Yeah, fae touched, Dawnborn. Yeah, so lots of people came together, and the Rainless Senate was made, which I think is down here actually. Yeah, there we go, Rainless Senate. And it is exactly that. It's a Senate that rules Etoria, and there is currently there's an Empress, and she has so she can veto anything, but essentially lets the Senate go. Yeah. So while that Rainless Senate was like getting made and all that sorts of good stuff was going on, the Spiritus, these gnomes, they were asked to basically be a vanguard to anything, like defensively, offensively. The lands south of Etoria is the nation of Surut, and it's got 8 nations. So a continent, called Surut, and it's got 7 or 8 nations in there that used to push north to invade Etoria. So the Sparatus, being on the southern border, they were tasked with keep them out while we sort ourselves out inside. Is that a nice one? Cool. So, and they've got a deep loyalty to the Celestial known as the Ram. So the Celestials, I'll get to in a sec. And the role they played within the war with Tierra. Lands to west. So they built town, cities, military functional. They use trenches, pikes to defend out in the open realms, and then that'll spread out into.
Can I make a drink of tea?
Can you make a drink of tea?
Yeah.
If you make me one, yes. If you hear a kettle in the background, it's because I was getting a brew, kids. So yeah, there is more stuff. All of this so far needs expanding on, but it was just as much waffle as I could get out as possible. Spiritus is how I read it, so I assume they pole vault. I mean, when I tell you what they do, you probably, yeah. Yeah, charging it became deadly. Foresteries that build defensive closer to the trees. Skirmishes, they love their skirmishes. The Spiratus, so the gnomes, or Spiritus, they squad fight rather than shield wall fight because they're gnomes. Like, doesn't matter how strong you are, there's always that, you know, science gets involved. So they learnt to fight in squads and very small units and basically isolate the enemy, so you had to take them on squad for squad rather than shield wall for shield wall. You setting up a shield wall across the way from them don't mean anything, they're not going to charge it, so it forces the enemy to fight like they do. Spiritus roads are basically a well-guarded tunnel system, there's got to be a better word for it, but like an underground highway, as it were. It's super hot in Etoria, so travelling beneath ground is sometimes preferred, especially if you're travelling a long way, and they've done a lot of it all over Etoria over the centuries. Cheerful cousins of the halflings. Yeah. Far from the stereotype. I try to avoid stereotypes of fantasy races. Like, all halflings are not Bilbo. Battle prowess is their passion and an unbreakable dedication to the tenets of the Ram. And the tenets of the Ram are win the fight. They teach many how to fight, but always stand by. You cannot teach strength of heart, obviously. Teach you all the skill in the world, but if you're going to run away, it doesn't matter how good you are. Skill is nothing without a fellow warrior standing at your side, willing to die for victory. Right, so here's the bit here where the bit of pole vaulting comes in. When they're young, they're paired up, and they're given a dire cub. Many different dire creatures out there. You get your dire wolves, camels, dire boars. Riding a dire camel in battle's a nightmare. So basically, the trio, they grow together, train together, and they become a single force, a single fighting force. And then those trios, so the dire creature and the duo, train with other dire creatures and duo, etc., etc., and they make up the armies of the Spiritus. Now, this is the cool, but also bad thing, because it'd only work in high fantasy and probably never work in reality. One of the gnomes wields 2 shields, and the other wields 2 swords. Or 2 weapons. Could be axes, swords, whatever you deem fit. Whilst this particular form of fighting is enacted, the diamant that they've trained and reared to be every part of their fighting trio will obviously do its part. And also, basically, so how they fight is the dire creature circles them, while the 2 gnomes go flying in, and you get that dervish wielding lunacy of. And the gnomes wear armour; they're not just in a pair of leather undies running in. So yeah, that's a Spiritus at the minute. I quite like these. These are my fun sort of people of Etoria. Like, it's cheesy. It's everything it's everything I could possibly pull from the 300 movies, with gnomes and dire creatures. So that's cool. So the supernatural stuff, like the Dustborn and the Dawnborn, here, the celestial blooded. So like writing about butterflies and moths and stuff, and what is it, bear or B-A-R-E? Is B-A-R-E just naked bear rather than bear? Okay. So they'll sort themselves out. They're angel-blooded, as it were. However, these are the things that I've started like making notes of and going on to. So we've got the Neroliath or Neroliath. Oh, I've got a brew, kids. Got a brew. Bernie. It's Bernie, love. Lost my train of thought. This is pretty cool as a visual. Yeah, I thought it'd be pretty badass. Couple of gnomes. Brewski for heavyweight ski. Yeah. I think it'd be a cool visual, to be fair, Dan. 2 gnomes. Chuffing little Corinthian armour and a helmet and that. Little muscle caress. Flying into you with short weapons and that. A giant wolf biting you in the face. Because obviously, the Ogogi, I can't remember. When he kills the wolf, I stole that. Straight stole that. Oh, we've got 7 viewers. Lunacy. I'm just talking absolute bollocks. So, the Nerolite for Goliath Water Genasi. I don't know if Genasi is a D&D thing, but water elemental people. Goliath's are giant blooded people, so it's kind of my like way of how do it helps me like get a visual of them, and then if I'm using a different system or whatever for my world, they're basically sea titans or sea giants. Do you know what I mean? Ride whales and such. You know what I mean? But yeah, I like the idea of it. I've not gone... Oh, yeah. Giants of the sea, born of its strength and endurability, spirits with such potential, light the way for life beneath the surface. The celestial known as the dolphin, there's a reason they're all just called animals, watched and admired them before blessing them with form. Aquavirl, the soul of the element of water, given existence by the creator titan Anvil. So Anvil is... Because we're dead complicated with the names, Anvil is responsible for the creation of the elemental planes, and they all pass through Anvil to like form that. Like Anvil is the anchor, as it were, that has the 4 elements: fire, air, water. Upon Colossus, etc. Metaphysics. So yeah, so they're basically giant water blooded elementally people. And then you got the Marmora. Marmoa. I don't know that word, no. Marmao. Marble smiths. Mainly elven. Again, every system. But yeah, so the elves in Etoria are actually very, very well, highly skilled marble smiths. A lot of the architecture that gets used around Etoria, the elves have had a hand in designing and creating those wonderful patterns and busks and statues and stuff that go in and around them. And the Megali Volta, dwarves, they like to sell shit. Mainly, they farm olive fields and such, and orchard. I don't know, olive orchards. I did read up on this the other day. I've completely forgotten. But they also they trade and travel fairly distant for their olives and olive oil. But yeah, got to write about them as well. The thing I was writing the other day is humans. So it's all right coming up with these weird and wonderful like races, people in your world. But then it gets a bit boring if you just go, "Oh, and there's humans." So I wanted to do like extra bits for the humans. I actually think Paizo are really good at doing this, to be fair. Other places are available. But yeah, so the deities, the deep divers. I really like having folk that you can be pre-adventuring days. So it's kind of cool. Like, I mean, if you're not into designing a big backstory, just picking, somebody who lives in that place and looking at what those people do, then that's your backstory. It's kind of, oh, what did you do before this? Oh, I was a deep diver. We went looking for pearls and stuff like this. All right, cool. And then you just talk about deep diving. I kind of like swimming. I spend a lot of time under here. Never worked on a Sunday, you know what I mean? Yeah, that sort of stuff. Oh, you got a wife and kids? Oh, well, I did meet her, but we were both deep divers. She dived too deep. Got the bends. We had to put her out of her misery. I was left with kids. I sold them to a wizard, and then I became an adventurer. You know what I mean? Simple. Backstory written. Wow. To be honest, the dual shield, dual weapon works for mounted enemy. Can see it as mechanically one having advantage of attacks, one in defense. Yeah. I mean, like I said, and I went with it, and like, what, you're always totally sold kids to wizards as a backstory of someone in the future. Yeah, I wanted my Spartan Gnomes to be just ridiculous. Like when you're sat in a tavern around a fire and people have you heard of the Spiritus? Oh, the Spiritus. Oh, these gnomes that ride dire creatures. What, one uses 2 shields out. What good's that? And then you meet them, they're like, oh my god, oh my god. I came in at the right time. Hello, Bardic. How we doing? Kind of like the backgrounds in 5e, but more region specific. Yeah. I mean, lots of systems have like a background mechanic where they just bolt onto your characters, and yeah, this is that basically. But to the point where I'm probably going to get a bit carried away with what I write for them, whereas a lot of systems kind of just, I think the systems I've seen, they're quite quick and here's your little thing. I've created an old new source book on these deep divers. That's the plan. But yeah, this is what I wrote the other day. These deep divers, so they live along the coast. You know why? Because there's water there. But they're super competitive with the narrow life, because the narrow life, obviously, they can swim for forever. They're water giants, so they're just like, yeah, mate, we're off down here. Good luck. Whereas these are just humans, the deities or deities. So they don't have the physical advantages. Now, this shit got weird. So obviously, again, like using the old Google, looking at deep divers and pearl hunters and stuff like that, and pearl retrieval experts. It was pretty cool to see what folks did back in the day. Now, I get the tying rocks to yourself to make you heavier. You know what I mean? You will sink and it'll keep you down there, and you don't have to waste your energy and stuff like that. It's easier to just walk around while you're collecting stuff. But some of these are mad. So sharks, apparently, dark limbs of a large creature put them off. I don't know why. I didn't look into it. But there used to be like divers in ancient Greece that used to paint their hands and feet black. So when they were swimming around and that, I don't know if it's the movement of dark shapes against the not so dark shapes or what, but keep sharks away apparently, or they did it believing it kept sharks away. There was other stuff like they were actually, like some of their scriptures actually said, again, this is all on Google, so forgive me if you are an ancient Greek expert or are actually from ancient Greece and disagree. Suggested to swim straight at the shark because it'd scare them off, because sharks are predators, so they don't like it when you give it back type thing. So if something swims at the shark, it backs off, it don't like it. Probably didn't back off because it can't swim backwards, but you know what I mean. And apparently that's the thing these days. Apparently divers and stuff these days have said as much. Now this one absolutely threw me, because there's quite a lot of stuff that this was a thing. Some of the deep divers, or those that really wanted to super deep, used to puncture their eardrums to allow the the pressure, deal with the pressure change. Obviously, we do it with like releasing oxygen and breathing it out, and then you avoid getting the bends. And there's loads of different techniques. I am not a scuba diver, but they didn't have this back in there, so they used to just puncture their eardrums to allow like. I've seen that on a couple of bits. Again, it's Google. I'll have to, but I'm going with it. So it's going in the book, because again, magic. But yeah, so they dive for like the sponges in the reefs and stuff, and Murex, which is a purple dye, which went for quite a lot of money, and like plants and animals, and the pearls. Now this bit, so the Gilded Tides, yeah, basically, so they're like your harbour masters. They control that sort of economy that happens in the waters and such like this. So this is a thing that was actually going on back in the day, and I kind of like it. And obviously you can use it for stuff like your adventurers going out and that. The deeper the diver went for that particular piece of treasure, they actually got paid more. So it could be the same thing. So if you get a pearl 10 feet down, you get £1. If you get a pearl 40 feet down, you get £4. It's the same pearl. You just dive deeper for it. So they actually paid you a bit more for putting that extra effort in. It's kind of cool. So the Gilded Tides will probably be popping up and telling some adventurers to go to the bottom and fight a giant water dragon that don't exist in Colossus. There you go. And then obviously because of what they do, your physicality over years and stuff like evolution So they're basically tall, long-limbed swimmers, keep their hair short, cropped out of the way, and many of them wear seashell jewellery, carry a symbol of their first deep dive on an amulet. So I always thought that was a pretty cool thing. It's that whole, oh, this was my first time sort of thing. We'll keep it clean. So they wear a particular symbol of their first dive, such as a wooden pearl or a piece of shark tooth. If your first dive's out there and you bring back shark teeth, it's gone wrong. And they get tattoos blending in. Which blend in below the surface like a bit of a camouflage, so you get those almost tribalistic tattoos and Greek patterns that go all over their skin and such. I only did these over there, so I'm kind of still on them. Outsiders think them the lesser Neraliath and folk, wasting their time if they think they can compare with the giant water people. However, between the two of them, there's kind of a mutual respect that despite the heavy physical differences, the Neraliath don't mind the Deities, because it's like, yes, there's competition, but it's a kind of, fair play. Like, we can just swim to the bottom, no problems. You guys are out to, pierce your eardrums, for crying out loud. There's some stuff about oil as well, like taking a mouthful of oil, and when they dive deep, they spit it out, and the oil and the water, and it kind of, I don't know how, but it must separate, or it clears the water a bit. I don't know, but they were up for that. There was another one where they said they swallowed oil and kind of coughed it up through their, their sinuses and stuff to block it from the pressure. I don't believe that for a second, but somebody wrote it down in ancient Greece. The cultural thing that they share, or at least this supernatural, almost religion without a pantheon, is I based it on reincarnation, and I've got a few friends that heavily believe in reincarnation. Fair play to them, it's their thing. But so the deities or the deitist humans believe that they are reborn as the Neraliath, and I've put a m because it's a made up word. You know what I mean? It is. Well, they still use simple methods. So yeah, so they basically believe the less help, the less well, exactly that. The more pure they keep their what's the word? Their skill set's not the wrong word. I should rewrite that. Their diving and such. If they do it as natural as they possibly can, you know what I mean, without steads, that they're reborn as these sea giants, and it's a reward for saying you went through all the hardships of just holding your breath and just facing the sea and its depths with absolute nakedness to your being, and your reward is to come back as a sea titan. Do you know what I mean? If that's kind of how you're being brought up, it's not a bad thing to come back. It's a simple religion, and one tied strong with the celestial dolphin. Who knew? The sea is a world of rules and punishments all on its own. The Deities respect the sea far more than any land government. So yeah, so it's the whole, oh look, you've got all these pantheons and stuff like this, and a nation, but the sea itself is onto its own. So, and they're just some pearl divers. So fuck knows what I'm going to do when I get to the olive merchants. You know what I mean? They believe that they come back as the finest olive to be eaten by the greatest of the olive oil virgins. Virgin olive oil. There you go. I know there was a link in there somewhere. Folks of interest. Empress Alana, a dawnborn Aesthema of the Tiger. Lord Aristion, the leader of the Order of the Ramhorn. Lord Aristion actually appeared in one of our 24-hour streams. In fact, the first 24-hour stream I ever did. He's a monster, an absolute Leonidas copycat monster. And Empress Alana has been around for donkeys. The dawnborn of the Asama dawnborn of the Tiger. It's actually secret law. There you go, you know something. That'll be in the source book. But if players ever come across it, they have to find it out to earn a bit of XP. Ooh. And then there'll be loads of these folks of interest. But again, so writing the source books, mental, like absolute madness. Or just world building. It's just crazy. So the reason you'll notice that the Celestials I mentioned so far are named like ram, dolphin, tiger, hound, that sort of thing, is because back in the day when the first 12 took that particular role, that all ancient like things have an animal on a banner or whatever, and one had a tiger, and that warlord was known for that, and then the ram and stuff like this. And it kind of just evolved that's what they were going to be. But when they became celestial, so the pantheon of Etoria is not infinite. They're just powerful beings that sit somewhere, and they have the ability to give a bit of magic out. But they eventually age and need to be replaced. So 12 more are chosen, and they take on. So there's actually if you go to Bronze Falls. Bronze Falls is where the Library of Prayers is and stuff like this, and it's like a pocket demi-plane that exists within a temple. So within the temple itself, you can go to the Library of Prayers, and it's just like you get your bag of holdings or your rope tricks or your insert wizard name here, magic house to survive in the woodlands sort of spell. And they all go to these demi-planes. That's the Library of Prayers is a demi-plane within the temple at Bronze Falls. And you can go that, well, if you're allowed, you can get in there, and there's just rows and rows and rows of scrolls and scrolls and scrolls, and it is just an endless and infinite library of parchment rolled and stashed in little cubby holes. And that's people's prayers, and they go there, and then the Celestials come and they choose them and they read them, and they spend their time in the library as people would, with the glasses on and a big thick comfy chair in front of a fire, smoking a pipe of bubbles, and they get to read the prayers that are coming on. And time is endless, is weird for them. It's timeless. Time is timeless. Time is timeless. So they just get to do their deity duties. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, but they have to be replaced because they're just powerful entities. I mean, fuck hard powerful entities, but they eventually have to pass on, and their reward is, the Fields of Elysium. Insert, we'll name something different in Colossus, but they basically get to go on and chill out. But 12 more need to be picked. And at Bronze Falls, there are like great scriptures and scribes, and there is a particular scribe that has is it eidetic or photographic memory, but also is cursed with amnesia. Is it amnesia or a flavour of? So basically, they remember everything, but they can never recall it. And so it's like the perfect vault for these names, because names have power, as with a lot of fantasy stuff. So the true names of the Celestials, the scribe remembers, but can never bring them back from memory. So every name they're told, boom, it's locked in there, and they can never be brought to bear. But they must be remembered, for names must be remembered, and there's a lot of fluff around it. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, so every time the Celestials are replaced, those 12 names are remembered. New Celestials, new people or entities, creatures, whatever, take the place. But over the years, because the names are not used, people just start referring to the Celestials as animals. So the Paladin of the Ram is because the folk these days don't know who the Ram is. They don't know their name. So and that's kind of how that works. Went off for a bit of a tangent there. Whew. Better than using bought some kids as a backstory. I mean, that's true. That's true, Truckles. You're playing a wizard? Yeah, backstory. Bought some kids. So this is what you do with your writing, though. Now I want to play one of these. I also write my haunted bathhouse adventure for my D&D writing course. I keep getting distracted listening to cool stuff from AD. I do apologise, though. We could cheat and write a haunted bathhouse as part of Etoria, and you just kind of, we'll discuss it out loud and nick it. Might be cheating, but that's for you to decide. Yeah. Nope. Twitter stuff. Yeah. Where are we? Yeah, so Empress Alana, Dawnborn, Asma of the Tiger. Well, I won't plot. I won't spoiler. You can read it when you've given me £400 per source book, because it turns into a 9,000-page chuffing monstrosity. Right, the Rainless Senate and places of interest. Oh, there we go. We've got a few down here. Oh, there we go. Library of Prayers. Pocket dimension within the temple. Bronze Falls is, I mean, it says the most religious town in the Empire. It is religion. Like, it completely exists. The waterfall at the back of the temple, the waters are bronze because of the bronze and copper ore that's in the cliffs that the water runs off. So as it runs down, and when you look at the waterfall, it looks like it's bronze, and then a stream flows off into a silver river of some other religious story. But absolutely everything, shrines, temples, trinkets related to the 12 can be found at Bronze Falls. Priests of all flavours go about their prayers, maintaining the bronze stream that flows through. Originated from the cliffs above the town, or above the down, I've put. Why won't you? Town takes its name from the waterfall. And it's told that the birth of the Celestials was here, and they took to the skies and spread across Colossus to gather following and the power of prayer. Is that true? Who knows? Who knows? If you want it to be true, then you have it true. And then you've got the Library of Prayers in there, rows and rows of shelving, endless, etc. The shelves are made from angel wood. I couldn't really think of a more cheesy if I tried, and I'll probably change that, but that angel wood will trigger memory for me later on. A material found only in the celestial forests of the divine realms. So yeah, if you go to the heavenly forests, cut down a tree, you can make some shelves out of it. Boom! It's got to be like 300 XP there. Each scroll, the parchment brought into existence each time a praise month, is written in soul ink. Now I'm big on absolutely everything, not just being what's the word? I want everything to exist. I want absolutely everything to exist. And the fact that there is a piece of parchment with writing on it means there is ink used. Where's this ink come from? And I like the idea that, soul ink, again, a memory word for later on, it is a thing. Can you imagine getting hold of some of that and you start writing out people's prayers and such? I mean, it's plot right there. You can do out with it. Sections of this vast library with no apparent walls or ceiling, just an endless view of shelving. Some sections are open to huge circular tables with empty chairs around them. But in front of each long feathered quill writing on parchment appearing out of nothing. So there's basically, the whole monks rewriting the Bible. I kind of went with that. So there's like unseen servants, as it were, sat at these huge circular tables, just writing out the prayers. And the long feathered quill obviously dipping in soul ink that you can't see, and then it appears on the shelf. So the Rainless Senate. So this is the current Senate that's in charge in Etoria. You got Simo Broadshoulder, very, very good friend of mine, who has only ever played a dwarf. No matter what we're playing, it doesn't matter if it's modern, ancient, chuffing fantasy of Doom, whether it be LARP. This lad plays a dwarf, aka is known as Pitbull. It's a very, very poetic name. But he resides in Odyssey as a senator. Is a dwarf with a thick blonde mohawk, because we used to cut his hair into a mohawk with his blonde head. Powerful druid of the moon, obsessed with were creatures, is Pitbull, so it made sense. And was a guest of the Empress for many years before him being invited to sit on the Rainless Senate. So Simo Broadshoulder is not a what do you call it? Native of Etoria, but because he was a guest of the Empress, dumb. Tima, home to Senator, is home to Senator Tecmessa. Youngest of the Senate, but intelligent beyond her years, is a military town. And Tecmessa is held in high regard for her Senate duties and ability to get stuck in when the time is needed. Her skill with a great axe is a story told a lot around the old campfires of the Western Line. Because the Western Line is stuck. They kind of fight with the twisted fair creatures that come out of the now destroyed City of Echoes. And the whatever twistings Saravella's done to those fair creatures. You've got Diomedes, thickly muscled, fan of the arenas, Goliath, quick wit, superb mathematician, teaches those willing to learn. Phoenix or Phoenix, whatever the Greeks pronounce it. Priest, lives in Bronze Falls, very devout, close to the religious law. Basically Gandalf. So if anyone turns up and wants to know about the religion of Etoria, I've got an NPC. Port Tool is a busy stop-off port from the north and from Cruel, situated in Heroes Rome. Senator Delias resides here, a master of words and information. Wood Elf energy keeps her forever alert. It's relevant to pass on. I will say that these were created in a time when I was still learning of pronouns and such. So the whole she, he, etc. It's entirely up to yourselves. In fact, I'll probably change all these to they, except Simo, because it's literally based on my mate. They is the youngest. Is it they are? And, you know, it's... In my games, there might be a her, there might be a he, there might be a they. I don't know if I've said that right, but... In yours, you might want them to be, you know, a bloke, or, you know, a lass, or a non-binary. Military town. End of the day, it's your game, your world. If you're using Colossus to play in, you fucking have them what you want. They have to be a chuffing elf if you don't want them to be. Be a bit weird, but... In fact, I'm going to change all these afterwards. Yeah, so then you've got Delias, Master of Words and Information. The Wood Elf energy keeps. It's also good writing. Anyone who's into the writing, to keep it neutral. Unless you're dead keen on someone being a particular flavour. Keeping it neutral is what's the word? It's good for the reader. I know this is obviously supposed to be information about a world, but if you're writing like stories and such, and adventure like things, keeping it neutral means when folk run it, they've got their own interpretation. There you go. Quago, biggest cesspit of a town and a mark against the golden glory of Etoria. Quago is a cesspit of hive of scumbag and villainy. Villainy? Scumbaggery? Villainy? Whatever. It's a shithole. It's a shithole. Basically everyone left and they turned it into a fight town. The Ram Senator, the humans, it's in temple home, watches us go to yeah, martial promise. Is it themselves or themselves? Themselves. The but now focusing there. Oh shit! Oh, there we go. Sorry. Have I done that right? Yeah. So, what's keep most southern military presence in Etoria is a halfling captains a ship, the Silver Dolphin. You can obviously change that. They wear. She wears. They wear. Their green tartan kilt. And Senator's bracelet at all times. Kilt reminder of origins. Ah, yeah, because they are from Tola. And some people might know this. Know this place, sorry. In time. What am I listening to? Stone Walls, 3 Tall Pines. So, I don't know if it's still going. But for those that have just turned up. It's cool if I'm going to procrastinate, I may as well do so, listening to the fun stuff. Cool, I'll take that, mate. I'll take that. That's the Spotify playlist I'm listening to. I'll just keep putting it in now and then because it's a pretty cool list. It's called Songs I'd Write a Fantasy Novel to. 15 hours long. There you go, Dan. But some of the first few songs are absolutely stunning. They're dealing with the sureties So that's the continent to the south. Provides priceless information for the Empress. Best friends with Empress. Sworn an oath to her. Sworn an oath to her and their empire. No, and to. No, we'll just go with the. Yeah, so the thing with the Rainless Senate is, I don't know, you may have noticed. Simo is not of Etoria. Where have they gone? Dion is not of Etoria. Agamedes, an old man. Whisper of his deal with death to give him eternal life, as people refuse to believe he's as old as he is. The Empress keeps him close, and he too lives in the capital. Is an old. How do we write this? How do you write this neutral? I mean, it's human. Old as folk. We'll go with that. We can reword that for when it comes to the source book. They deal with death. To give them. Nope. To give them eternal life. As people refuse to believe. They are as old as they claim. The Empress keeps them close, and they too live in the capital office. There we go. Did I miss one? Youngest but intelligent. They are. You got to have quick witness of mathematician during the time they are not watching. Jesus. Their favourites in the arena. They teach. Those willing to learn. Wisdom is often asked for in knowledge. Oh, we've got that. Has that need? I don't know if it needs that. However, when the editors come in, they'll sort it. Probably change Empress to Emperor. Regardless, that's just the title of pronoun rather than, you know what I mean. Order of the Ramhorn. Again, it's a paladinic order used in most cases, special unit called upon. So they're like special forces, like the SAS or Delta Force, you know, that sort of thing. They're the divine SWAT teams of Etoria. They're not big. They're a very intimate, unique paladinic order, and are literally sent into. You know, they've all metagamed. They've all like min-maxed the characters. They're all level 6 paladins and the rest in sorcery, so they can get as many bloody spell slots as possible to dump smite into. You know, that sort of paladinic order. Very useful against undead. So, the voices of Kaiknos. There we go. I'm pretty sure I googled like song or something and got these words. Google Translate. It's your friend when you're doing fantasy. This incredible talented bardic group have grown into a guild of entertainers and have earned the right to charge a considerable amount for the performance. They're celebrities. They are like the Hollywood. You know, they've all got stars. Their names in stars on a path in Tophis somewhere. But they are the bards. If you want entertainment of whether it be spoken word, you know, that sort of poetry performance, or musical, or you want a you know, an epic saga writing on, you know, parchment made from the most magical tree in the angel wood and all that palaver, then these are the folk that you go to. Again, just note form and getting on with it. Places of interest. Ah yeah, just done this. So that's what I've got written so far. To say I was going to jump on and do some actual writing, I've basically just gone over what I've written. which is good because it's nice to be reminded of what you're doing. Yeah, I got it done, but thank you. just as a keep the playlist though. It's good. But yeah. So has it not moved? All right, it is on Spiritus. Let's get rid of Half Angel, Nephilim. Yeah, there you go. So the vault I was on about earlier is here, Ilsetha. It's where in fact our first 24 hour they actually went to the vault and tried to take some of the weapons. Tophis, the capital of Etoria. It's like Athens times 3. Buxy Bay. Our good friend Aristotle from Tuesdays would love it in Buxy Bay. It is the party town of Etoria. So what I wanted to do, because for those of you that weren't at the beginning, maybe you are and you're still here, I love already existing stories. Like I love Hercules, Achilles, like all the ancient Greece stuff. I'm using them as an example because Etoria is heavily inspired by my love of ancient Greece. And I get that lots of people will obviously do their own homebrew regarding ancient Greece, and as will big named companies. But I still wanted to do my own flavour of it. And like when I did the where are you? When I did the Hercules lot and bastardised that story, I'd love nothing more than to turn Troy into D&D, but twist it. So some of you may have heard of an author called David Gemmell. If not, you should read all David Gemmell's stuff because it is amazing. But he wrote, the last thing he wrote before he passed, bless him, was his version of Troy. And there's a really cool thing, spoiler for you, there's a really cool thing that it absolutely blew me away. I can't believe, well, they might have thought of it before, but I'd never seen it anywhere else, read it, watched it, or anything like that. The whole hiding in the Trojan horse. So how he wrote it was 3 books. They were all epically long. But what he wrote was the Trojan horse was a cavalry unit in Troy, and they were known as the Trojan horse. So what he actually did is when the Greeks invaded, they killed a load of the cavalry, dressed up as them, and then got other Greeks to chase them, now disguised as the Trojan horse, at the city, shouting for them to open the gates. They open the gates, let the Trojan horse cavalry in, shut the gates. They've hidden inside the Trojan horse and are now inside the city. Fucking genius. Like, it absolutely blew me away. And it's that sort of thing that I really like twisting and taking those tales and making them a more accurate thing. It's like, well, Hercules. So the average height of the ancient Greeks was quite small, especially when Hercules was about. So they were like 5 foot and they were tall. A bit taller maybe. But then you rock up, say you're 6 foot back in day, you were giant. Like there's generally if you're bigger and you're doing a physical childhood or whatever, you're probably going to get pretty strong, or at least strong compared to someone who's smaller and not doing it. So yes, I could see that the reality of this person must be blessed by the gods because they're able to pick up that boulder and I can't, or move that log, or throw this as further than me. So I kind of like bringing that. Granted, I'm writing a high fantasy magical world where the gods rock around and just high five you every now and then. However, I like the gritty side of myth. So basically, I'm now going to attempt to write my version of Achilles, which is pretty boring. In the sense that he's just absolutely untouchable in a fight because every blade bounces off him. Because his mother thought it was funny to, nearly drown her kid in the river of death just by holding his Achilles heel. It's lucky she named him Achilles because, we'd have probably called it something else. But Brian's heel, can you imagine that? So, but that's really it. She dips him in water, he becomes invincible apart from that bit. and then he just goes on to be an absolute badass. Like, I mean, it don't matter if he's good with a sword; he can't die unless someone stops. So he might have been a terrible fighter. In fact, that might be a pretty cool angle. They're just a terrible fighter, but they can't die until you hit the weak spot. Ridiculous. Lied all his life. So, what is it? People. Where's my... Yeah, that's collective of people. Folks of interest. There you go. So, totally not Achilles. What other ancient Greek stuff? Is that... Oh, the evil goose. That took me a little while. I was like, what? I was like, Thevel? The evil goose. Thank you for the follow, I think. Don't hurt me. So we need to totally not Achilles right up. What other ancient Greek heroes can we have? Xena? Could just do a watch party and watch the box set of Xena that, yes, I do own. So yeah, so I think I've got Lord Aristion. Here we go. Year 1 Etoria. We've got Etoria on here. No. Oh, we did some interviews. That was pretty cool. Ah, it's not Etoria on here. Where is it? Where are you, you bastard? Where are you? You see all this crap? Look at that. 9.5 gig. Can you see that? Of absolute. Oh. There you go. Fable Among Titans campaign. You can't see that. Can't see that Bardic. Ah, sorry. Yeah, we've got him somewhere. On a nice little thingy. Right, so let's go with... Sorry, I'm going to write about the... Spangamere. If people haven't, and they were like, where is it? There is a source book released by Paizo for Pathfinder 2nd Ed called The Lost Omens. Right? It's the Magwani, they might pronounce it differently, Expanse. It is probably the best source book I've ever seen approach different races in the same like make-believe country, as it were. Like like I'm about to write about elves now. You tend to get a lot of fantasy writings where elves all over the world act like elves. It doesn't matter where they live, they're elves. Like they're their own like racial stereotype type thing. They don't change whether they're living in the desert, the forests, the winter north. You know, it's always in the north, but you know what I mean. But the Paizo did unbelievably well, I think, with the Magwani Expanse thing. It's very African sort of flavoured. But yeah, it's just really cool. If you ever get to have a little read of it or whatever, it's super cool how they've managed to do that. And I kind of want to take those sort of practices that they did when we were writing Etoria and stuff, and me and Arcane, Mr. Rob, we were talking about it before, of elves, humans, weird and wonderful creatures, they do all the high fantasies, you can reel them off for days. Wherever they live, that should be their dominant, like, physiology, whether they have darker skin, lighter skin, rainbow skin, whatever that area of the world has, no matter what they are. So, like, with the Magwani thing, because it is that African flavour, the dwarves, the elves, the humans, the other race, like fantasy races that they've made up all share a sort of darker skin. What's the word for? What do you call it? I know what I mean. But yeah, they fit. Do you know what I mean? They fit in that cultural world and the way they've done it and stuff. They've also done a really cool way of like separating the humans and the dwarves and stuff to give them their own thing, but they all look like they're from the Magwani Expanse. It's really cool. Anyway, elves, they're marble smiths. Hey dude, the evil goose. Does I know you? Because a friend of mine's well into the old evil goose when they did some of their roleplay stuff. So I don't know if it's coincidence or you truly are an evil goose. Right, so what do I know about marble smiths? Feck all. I don't know if my keyboard might be quite loud. It's one of those mechanical keyboards, so it's quite tappy. So I do apologise if it gets a bit crazy. What's on there? What's on there? I cannot pronounce that. Tia Ab Ali Rio, Celtic woman. How do you know what song you're on? Yeah, it's on that. It's on that Spotify link. Right, so let's have a look. White marble. How the Prisbury got been identified masterpieces. Never thought I'd be researching marble, to be fair. Right, so where am I? Yes. Yeah. Has it begun? Began? Right, no nasty. North, east. Oh yeah, fucker. Oh my god. Sorcerer. Embellished. Oh yeah, keyboard loud. You totes do know me. Yeah, I'm convinced. Fuck it. Oh yes. So you can't see this, but the Arcane, our wonderful writer, I've just checked him out on Discord, and he's currently writing The Domain of Dread. Oh yeah. How do you like that, kids? How do you like that? Because he's a genius. Right, so we're going to go with the history. Like, no one knows the history, which is cool. Because you get so many other things where it's like, give me a history check. You roll it, boom, you're told everything. This is going to be absolute, just a web of crap. How did that not? Some say they're cousins to the seasonal elves of Vale. A lot of them are elder in Vale, that's why. Oh, seasonal elves, depending on the system. Some say they're seasonal elves of Vale. Others. Velvish, I think we were calling it. The group migrated to Etoria many moons ago. No one's ever used that line. Truth is, there we go. Might not even be elves. They are Etorian born. And unless travelled, have never stepped foot on the lands of the all things in Etoria hold stories of glory and foretold legend. Does that make sense? Feel those stories, all about them, in the very stone they mine, the quarries of Osgiliath. cannot put that. So I just put mine into Google Translate. Into Greek it's called Dikos. Not with my lot. Most immature motherfuckers. Spell quarry. Latamure. It's not too bad. Not too bad. I've already done that. Wow. That'll do. Nice and simple. Quarries of Petra. Quarries of Petra. Echo. The Echo whispered myth to the miners at all times. Elves are born under the telling of a legend. The story. The myth. Any. So much so, some claim that they are sung. Sung. Some claim that they are told into existence. That they are. Well, how do you word that? That they are. It's a bit. It's a bit weird. What we got now? Dragonborn. Dragonborn comes by Maluka. Or Maluka. Remember when she first sung this? Absolutely amazing. 50 years ago. 7 views. See new messages. I ain't got any new messages. Oh. Welcome to Etoria. I don't know if that's thingy, but I'm trying to go for the text in stone. Where were we? There's also some claim they're sung into existence around campfires. All bear a birthmark. That gets associated with a Etorian legend. Etorian story, Etorian legend, Etorian legend. Go with that. Even if it does not look obvious, it is still spun to fit. That's not. That's shit. Shit sentence. With Anatorian legend. Shamoon. Birthmark gets sorted with an Anatorian legend. They then grow to work the mines. The marble mines. And become to work the marble mines. Others become, what do you call it? Sculptors, artisans. skilled in the craft of marble sculpting. Oh yeah. Marble is not often seen outside of Etoria unless it has been bought or traded for. Traded for with the Memorial. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. So big to be leaning over. What's this? My bone or something like that. Their birth is as a ritual, a tradition. Marble statuettes are crafted by the family. During the pregnancy. Is this too weird? The birth is as a ritual or tradition. Marble statuettes are crafted by the family. Let's go within the lead up. We can word it. On the date, the statuettes are repeatedly. What's the word? Repeatedly coated in honey. This attracts Winnie the Pooh. They are then left to drip into a large marble drinking dish. On the eve of the birth, the family dip bread in the honey and eat. This symbolizes the start of their journey of an adventure. Of a tale about to be told. Many of the spend some years adventuring around Etoria and retire. And return to make the statuettes of their own tails. I need to add more to this, but alright, elves. Heavy set in comparison to those elsewhere in the world. Lifestyle of mining gives them a rough exterior that is complemented by their love of evening storytelling and joy making. It's a bit cheesy, isn't it? And a rough exterior. Storytelling and joy making. Most grow their hair long, at least down to their waist, but it is always braided and almost a faux pas to wear it loose. Hair colour is generally dark, as with all from Etoria. Well, they're different, aren't they? It's generally dark, as with all from Etoria. A few slip through with lighter hair colours, lighter shades. There we go. Lighter shades. Well known for their grip strength and heavy shoulders. The only time, when it comes to combat for any reason, they tend to lean towards axes and hammers. Oh my god, I've turned them into dwarves. And the only time a bow is useful is for hunting. Is that faux pas? Faux pas. Wearing rough tunics tied at the waist with rope. Through the day, during mining hours, and on an evening, expensive in better clothing, or whatever, and adorn themselves with marble made jewellery. How do you spell jewellery? Oh! You come, little children, the hanging tree. Oh, it's Peter Hollins and Bailey Pelkman. Peter Hollins is pretty badass. Oh, I reckon I'm about done for tonight. Children. Yep, statuettes with as many T's in as you can get. So, Etoria. Amen. Wee! What was that? The Albert of Satri. Sorry, I've totally butchered that. Welcome, thank you for the follow. Etoria. I did that wrong. There are many markets that host a marble crafter that is of Elves. A lot of the architecture. A lot of the architecture. Jesus. Thank Christ for spellcheck. In Etoria has been mined, designed, and crafted. Built. They are often sought after from outside Etoria. They charge a fortune. A small fortune to deter buyers, as they are proud Etorians, and wish their craft to stay in-house. Boom. The Mamaro. Gotta learn how to pronounce my own made-up words. Elven Marble Smiths. It's not too bad, is it? I suppose so, yeah. Of course I did. Not too bad at all. The Albert, just Al will work. Hey pal, hope that's well. Just been going through my Etorian stuff. Doing a bit of world building. Etoria is my absolute bastardisation of ancient Greece. You will honestly not see any similarities if you read this between my Spartan Gnomes and actual Sparta. Honest, guff. So yeah. There you go, Spartan Gnomes. Might have to do these next. When the fair of terror lived along the Etorians, inspiration was high, and the commodity, when you can buy it, it's a commodity, a resource. A resource. Oh my god. Oh, that's what resource. Jesus Christ. Alright, there we go. What an idiot. A resource highly sought after. The Etorians, we'll go with Etorians. The Etorians would offer their very souls for the fair, for the fair, to bless them with her inspiration in their life choices. It became an addiction, a dark one, one that led to some of the many conflicts that the two peoples came to have. Oh my god. Ah, I keep doing salt, you fucking idiot. Yeah, it became an addiction. On fire. Just blasting through stuff. There wasn't a tag, I just went with tabletop RPGs because I didn't know what would be on there. It was during these conflicts that the Musa came to be. Nothing as sinister as folk sometimes thought. But a darkness sits at the centre of their existence. Souls, high, powerful. Nah, that's a bit cheesy, isn't it? The soul, the soul. As said, many Etorians craved the gift of inspiration from the fair, from the fair. Spelling made up words wrong. How is that even possible? Valerian root extract. Some adverts are weird, just saying. Someone's texting me, I do apologise. Anyway, back. Charge my phone, Jesus. People viewing, how we doing? We alright? We good? We enjoying ourselves? Yes. How do I switch back? Switch back. There we go. Oh shit. I think I just broke. Yep, done. Finish the assignment for today, so making notes for a D&D game. Yes! I'm one of those people who plans what it'll take several levels away, even if it's worth... Oh, right, you're making notes for you as a character. Yeah. And I think... You know, well, I think most people do, to be fair, though. Or should do. Again, allow... So, I'm quite... I say lucky. There might be lots of players like this and lots of tables that have the same thing, but my Tuesday lot said if I want to, as the DM, take them a different way. For example, I've changed one of the characters' races. Ideas as I can run feats by the DM, it means if we level up mid-game, I can do it quicker. Ah, yeah, that's fair. That's actually fair. You organised bastard, you. Yeah, so I changed one of the races, one of the players, and they were cool with it. Again, they did it off game to make it easier for them to do it. I forced class choices on two of the players. I say forced. They said straight, like from day dot, if plot put them in a certain direction for class stuff, they were well up for it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't just grab someone. Like some of my friends min-max like mad. If I changed their class, it'd freak them out. What race did you change them to? They started off human, and when certain stuff happened, their true blood awakened within them, and they became ASMR because they've got some celestial plot that I wrote from. So, Genie basically. So with other people, I did like 8 pages of back fluff with them, of like the world and stuff, so it fit in and their backstories and their families and stuff. What I did with Genie, bless her, is I didn't give her a backstory at all, or other than her simple one of I live here, these are my parents type thing. I've got full reign on it, so yeah, she's currently just actually last episode ish, just like discovered in character as it were when she popped wings out that stuff might be going on and that she can now speak celestial and stuff like that. Yeah, it's cool. Well, I think it's cool. But yeah, like I say, I suppose it depends on you. Yeah, she did. Jeannie were proper cool with it. Proper cool. But some people will be like for example, Eddie. I know not to mess with his character. I can mess with him in other ways, like the story and stuff like that, and his emotions. But he's very much like, well, similar to yourself. Like he's got his build done, so he knows what he's doing. So when it comes to it, it's just done, whether it be leveling up or whatever, which is cool. And then I can twist that into the story. I'm actually really tired now. I need to write more about the narrow life because I've only got sea giants down here. I need a cool way, Dan, of why the humans ended up fair touched without it being they sold the soul. Like there's some folklore in there where if you eat like fair food, you can never leave the fair forests. Could just do something as daft as that, like some big feast where they were tricked. And then by the fact that they actually did leave the Fey Forest, because like later on they have a big, like they have a bit of a fallout to the Fey and the Etorians. I wonder if it was like a scar upon them. And do we make them long lived? Maybe that'd be cool. Oh, I say, yeah, there we go. So they're neither in the material realm or the Fey realm, and they sort of exist. You know, have you seen Chronicles of Riddick? Where is it the Necromunda? 40k. Is it Necromunda? What they called in Chronicles of Riddick? Where's the plot? Necromongers. There you go. Every peacekeepers enlist to help with the most wanted outlaw in the universe. Riddick. Richard Bruno. What a name. Yeah, so like when they do that, like the main guy sort of like rushes towards Riddick and he's got that, I don't know what you'd call it, like that anime effect behind him. Necroverse. Yeah. For my choice game, have what I take planned, but we like to set it for especially. Level for it. Yeah, I'm big on when you take your like your sub, your archetype for your character. I really like that being part of the game. Instead of just turning like paladins taking an oath of the ancients, or whether that should be a cool thing, or rogues becoming an assassin. Yeah. Well, I feel like the Disney movie was made like a wager, and the human won the wager, and even if they left, it had an effect. Yeah. So combine that with something like the Necroverse. So what happened in Etoria is the Feywild spilled into the material realm because of the fighting. Like, it's more complicated than that, but we'll go with that. There's a big fight, and Heroes Rome comes into existence, and basically it's just a decimation of the Feywild in that particular place. So much so that most of it's here instead of in a Fey realm. So maybe that's what happened to these well, I say humans, but these Etorians. They're sort of like that Necroverse effect where they've got that Fey element to their blood or their existence, soul, whatever. So they kind of like shift in and out. So the advantage is they can walk between both freely, but the disadvantage is, I'll think of something, but I don't know. So much Fey blood in the war was spilt, it soaked into the ground, it touched the humans born upon it. It's not bad. Maybe. Yeah, eating food grown. I was thinking of the eating food because of the folklore of if you eat Fey food, you can't leave. So the fact that the Fey realm's here and they eat from it, technically they can't leave, but they're already here, so there's some weird shit happens to them. I mean, this is deep stuff. I'll come back to them. They're going to take an evening of batting some stuff out. Apologies for the yawn. Yeah, maybe. What have we done? What am I doing? Like fish. I do like the tainted bit, like a area, kind of like background radiation, but fair. Yeah, fish. That'll be brilliant. Right, do you know what? I'm going to call it a night there. I'm going to get a drink and stuff and chill out for a bit. Play some shooty games and then get to bed. Level 3 is for most classes. It works with a bit of set piece idea and for Tuesday game. Did a really cool thing for us. Our paladin had a dream his god visited him. The warlock had his patron visit him. And my blood hunter went like yeah. Job and enjoy it. Yeah, thank you. If any of you stick around, I'm just going to raid Garblag. Garblag games. They're really cool. They're really... I think I've spelled that right. Let's have a look. It's only a few of us. Garblag games. We'll go with that. That working? Oh, there's a couple of us. 4 of us. So if we just go over and do that, that'll be ace. If you can. Right, thank you very much for watching. I love you all, and I shall see you all soon. Goodbye, goodbye.